Never in a million years did I think I would be Googling how to remove construction adhesive off of studs, but here we are. If you are in the same boat, I'm going to walk through the different methods that I read about to remove drywall glue from studs and show you what actually worked for me, what it looks like to try the different methods with the exception of one, and then I will share with you the best way to remove construction adhesive from studs, at least in my opinion. I found a couple different ways to remove drywall glue from studs. Now, why in the world would you even be doing this? If you are like me and you have removed the drywall from the studs but don't want to actually replace the wall itself, you can't leave the glue that's existing on those studs if it is thicker than 1/8 of an inch. It will impact the installation and the quality of the drywall job that you put back up on those studs. So anything greater than 1/8 of an inch, I read that you need to remove that to ensure quality. So how in the world do you remove drywall glue from studs? The first method I read about was taking a basic putty knife and a hammer, and simply taking the putty knife and using the hammer, if you can catch an edge, to get rid of that. This method did not work for me. The second method I found was to use a paint scraper and scrape with a paint scraper. So I went and I got the paint scraper that I had. It did not work for me at all. All it did was make a terrible sound when I tried to use it. So if you got one of these, it's not gonna work. Another method I found is to use a chisel. Now, use a chisel that you don't care about the edge because it will destroy the chisel. But to take the chisel and use it with a hammer, and that does work. However, one of the things I don't like about that method is that it starts to remove the wood underneath. It actually cuts in. It's a chisel, duh, right? So I did not like using the chisel method. It was too much work to really get that right angle so that you didn't dig into the wood. I am only sharing my views and opinions. There might be better ways to do this, but I was frustrated because I could not find anywhere else what this actually looked like when I went searching trying to figure out how in the hell do I get drywall glue off of the studs so that I can reuse the walls in this home. If you're finding this helpful, make sure to like it so other people can also find this information and we can all help each other out. Another method I found online that I was not willing to try because I wanted to put new drywall glue or construction adhesive up when I next install the new drywall is to use mineral oil or Vaseline to soften the glue and then scrape it off. I did not try this method because I was afraid that if I overdid the mineral oil or the Vaseline that it would soak into the wood. And if it soaks into the wood, the odds of me being able to use construction adhesive again to do the new drywall is likely not going to stick. Thus, I was not even willing to risk that. Yet the idea of softening the glue is a great idea, which leads to the next method of removing construction adhesive from wood, and that is to grab yourself a heat gun. Now, I happen to have a heat gun, but if you don't, you can likely use a hairdryer. It just might not be as effective. I attached an attachment on there, and then I experimented with how much and how long. So how high, low, medium, high, how long do you heat the glue for? After you soften the glue with the heat gun or the hairdryer, then you need to use either a putty knife or a multi-tool to get it off. Now, I have a whole house to do. I'm doing a whole house renovation. All of these methods take time and energy. I wanted to find the best way to remove construction adhesive off of my studs. The most efficient way, at least for me, that I found was to use a combination of those methods that I just shared. First things first though, if you have read about using a paint scraper to get the glue off the studs, what I discovered was the paint scraper that I have did not work. However, a multi-tool, and maybe this is what they all referred to anyway when they said get a paint scraper, but this multi-tool is perfect. It has just a little bit of an edge, but it's not sharp like my chisel was. It's thicker though than my putty knife, so it is outstanding. Now you can use this in conjunction with a hammer without softening the glue. I found putting against and making sure that I catch the ledge of the glue to be the easiest, and it just pops right off. Now this works really well if you've got a thin, thick piece of glue that you're getting off. It'll just cut right through that, pop it off. Now be careful, I don't have my safety glasses on right now, but stuff does fly everywhere. You wanna make sure you cover your eyes. I also like to use gloves just because, well, I guess I'm a lady on some level. Anyhow, so simply the multi-tool and a hammer is great, but it doesn't always work. And sometimes it leaves like half-done chunks, stuff that's just thick enough to have a concern for putting up the new drywall. Ultimately, what I discovered was mashing up the heat gun in conjunction with the multi-tool to be the ticket for me. It takes 20 to 25 seconds with that heat gun, then simply taking the multi-tool and a hammer. Once I get underneath that ledge, that initial edge of that glue, getting the right angle is important. And then just taking it and going doon, 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 all the way down was the perfect combination for me. If you have other suggestions, comments, questions, whatever, drop me a line below. Again, make sure to like this video if it was helpful for you. And if you're interested in seeing how my whole house renovation turns out, make sure you subscribe as well. Bottom line, you got to get yourself one of these, and some sort of a heat source, a heat gun or a hair dryer. Thanks for hanging out.